So I'm not sure kung gaslighting ba ang tawag dito, but I've been receiving comments and ganito yung parang conversation. When I ask for something, for example, evidence, yung commenter will say na, but what is evidence? There are many types of evidence. That depends on what type of evidence you need. And then when I say, I didn't say that in the comments, but when I say, for example, kasi common siya, when I say any kind of evidence you have, sasabihin nila na, hey, that depends on your definition of what heaven is. Heaven kasi yung parang naging topic namin. For me, it's like gaslighting. I'm not sure if you know a better term for it, let me know. But for me, it's like gaslighting kasi gaslighting kasi is parang in its basic definition is it's a person trying to manipulate the other person by by making that person question his or her own reality. Parang psychologically manipulate mo siya. But that's the one version of gaslighting. The other version is you can't own up to your mistakes. Hindi ka marunong mag-sorry na wala ka pala talagang evidence or mali ka pala talaga sa nasabi mo. And since you're uncomfortable to say that, you gaslight the person. So you then yung example ko kanina na ginagaslight ako kasi yun na nga yung mga tanong niya. That depends on your definition of what heaven is. That depends on what your definition of evidence. Parang ganun. And another example siguro, and I'm still not sure if gaslighting yung term. An example is, for example, sa restaurant, nag-order ka ng, let's say, burger and fries. And then, many minutes later, hindi pa din nakarating yung food mo. So, you ask the waiter. So, the waiter, an example of the waiter gaslighting the customer. So, instead of the waiter saying sorry to the customer for waiting too long, kasi may pagkakamali talaga siya, nakalimutan niyang i-check yung mga orders because of how busy the restaurant is. Instead of saying sorry, the waiter said na, parating na sir, just wait. The way he says it, parang kasalanan pa ng customer. Nag-ask siya where his food is. Parang kasalanan pa niya for not being patient, for being impatient. So that's gaslighting. I'm not sure if parallel siya sa example ko now na parang ganun yung ginagawa ng mga taong can't provide verifiable evidence for their claims. So yun lang yung na-observe ko. I'm not sure if the term is correct. So yun. What I want to talk about today is how to avoid mga debates na in the first place you're not debating pala talaga about claims for truth or claims about reality. It seems that way kasi nag-claim ng, for example, yung opponent mo nag-claim na, hey, something is real. For example, which is bago ko tong may nag-claim na science is real daw. It exists in reality. And by his explanation, it exists daw. It's woven into our reality, except that our science can't observe it directly. It's just like a programmer creating a simulation using algorithms. If walang algorithm, yung simulation won't work. So parang ganun daw yung mathematics. It exists in our universe, except that we can't see it. Yun yung parang claim nila. It describes the reality that we are in. So for example, for example, nag-claim ako, there are 5 apples, right? So even though we don't see the number 5, suddenly nag-appear sa ano mo, ang apple lang ang nakita mo. There's no such thing as a 5, but dinescribe ng number 5 ang nakita mo number of apples sa harap mo. So it's like it's describing reality. It's like a property. It's like meta. For example, sa Dota, 'di ba, may meta ang mga characters, may strength, may agility, may intelligence. The character itself can't see those values na meron siya or the other characters na meron sila. But it exists in the Dota 2 programming. Siguro programming din tayo, and then yung mga numbers na siguro attributes natin or attributes ng reality, we just can see them. But it's real. Yun yung parang claim nila. So, again, this is about about engaging with people na mga ganitong klase yung mga topics. At first you thought that it's something na it's an argument that deals with facts and truths. But in reality, you're just dealing with beliefs. And let me just explain to you why that person is just having a belief and hindi pala siya claim of truth. My question is, what if may na-observe tayong isang thing or isang bagay or isang phenomena, but we don't have the math? What then? That person would say, that person would probably say na, hey John, we just don't have the math yet. Yes, you can observe that thing exists, but we just don't have the math yet. It will come someday. Okay, but then that would mean that your claim na math is real is unfalsifiable. And I will get back why unfalsifiability is important, but you saying na, John, someday that math will surface, and it will then describe that thing that you just observed, that phenomena that you just observed. You just don't have the math yet, but it will come someday. So, yung sinabi ko is, unfalsifiable pala yung claim mo na math is real kasi pwede kang magrason ng ganun. Lahat na ng mga bagay na na-observe ko, you can just simply say na, we just don't have the math yet. What if wala pala talagang math? Right? What if wala pala talagang math na nagdi-describe sa phenomena na yun? You can always say na we just don't have the math yet. Therefore, it's unfalsifiable, number one. Number two is, what if we have the math but we don't observe? Just like what you said earlier na may math ang universe natin, we just can't observe. That's just one example. Another example is the multiverse hypothesis. So sinasabi ng mga scientists na supportive sa multiverse hypothesis na we could be living in multiple universes, and this universe is just one of trillions of other universes, and we have the math. Our math confirms that we are living in multiple universes. We just can't see the other universes because we don't have the tools yet, or we can't observe them. So my next na problem is, just because you have the math doesn't mean it's real. Just because you have the math to describe that multiverse hypothesis is real, then it's real. It's not always the case, right? To scientists who subscribe to the multiverse hypothesis na unobservable universes are real because they are consistent with our mathematical equations. Yun yung mga sabi ng mga di ba, ng mga tao na nagsusubscribe sa multiverse hypothesis. So, but here's my objection. Just because we have the math for that hypothesis doesn't mean the hypothesis is real, right? So the keyword here is unobservable. So if it can't be observed, then it is unscientific. So your claim na math is real is unscientific. So balik tayo sabi ko una na number one, yung claim na math is real is unfalsifiable. Kasi there are instances na we observe the phenomena, but we don't have the descriptive math that you are saying na it describes the reality, our reality. So it's unfalsifiable kasi you can give reasons na the reason why we don't have the math is because we haven't discovered it yet. So what if we encountered something na wala pala talagang math? So it's unfalsifiable. There's no way for us to really see if what you claim is true or false. Number 2, unscientific yung claim mo that math is real. Kasi may mga elements na na sinasabi mo na may mga stuff na we can't observe. So science only deals with the things that we can only observe. So the whole thing, what I'm trying to say here is that you can be right. Okay? Sinabi mo na math is real. You can be right. But at the end of the day, what you're saying is just a belief. It's not a fact. You're just believing that math is real. You can be correct. Just like the multiverse hypothesis, the person who believes in the multiverse hypothesis theory can be correct, and his equations can be accurate. But it's unfalsifiable. It's a claim that we can never test kasi unobservable yung yung other universes. We can't observe them eh. So yun yung problem ko, and that's my take. You saying that math is real, okay, you can be correct, you can be right. I'm not sure. Sorry, I can't agree with you because you can be correct or you can be wrong. There's no way for me to test whether your claim is true because may mga elements na sinasabi ka na I can't observe, and may mga statements na sinasabi ka na unfalsifiable. Therefore, you are unscientific. Again, you can be there's nothing wrong if it's unscientific, but what's wrong is you claiming na yung sinabi mo is supported by science. That's what's wrong. Hindi siya supported by science. It's unscientific. And it's wrong to say din na what you are saying is supported by evidence because wala kang evidence din. Yun nga, kasi wala tayong na-observe and belief lang yan. So that's my take. What I want to express is this, is nang dahil sa na yan, sa dalawang requirements na yan, yung dapat ang isang claim is falsifiable, number 2 is dapat yung claim can be observed, is what anchors me. That kind of thinking sa science, sa methodology ng science, what anchors me. Kasi dati, I am prone to believing in all kinds of stuff. Naniwala ako sa mga conspiracy theories. I was really into really deep shit dati, na at some point siguro nag-doubt ako na nagland ba talaga tayo sa moon. At some point naniwala ako na may mga ancient aliens. At some point binasa ko yung the Anunnaki na nakalimutan ko na yung title sa book, but si Zechariah Sitchin yung author. Naniwala ako sa story niya, naniwala ako sa sa methods niya of concluding na meron nga talagang 9th planet, and ibinisita tayo ng mga aliens dati to mine gold. Science anchored me to only deal with stuff na kaya nating ma-falsify and kaya nating ma-observe. We want to believe those claims. I want to believe na binisita tayo ng mga aliens dati, that there are ancient aliens dati. I want to believe na multiverse, totoong may multiverse, and I'm just a version of the millions of versions of me out there. I want to believe those ideas kasi very fascinating, man. You can't deny that they're really great ideas, they're really great concepts, and it's really fascinating. And I want to believe those. And because of science, balik ako, it's what anchors me kasi I have the tendency to float onto the clouds and believing into some weird shit. So, hinila niya ako pababa, dyan, relax. Ito yung requirements ng science. Ang science kasi, gusto niya na na-falsify yung mga bagay-bagay na, yung mga claims. Gusto niya na, when we say na the evolution is, if we really did evolve, you can falsify that, Chan. You can go ahead and find evidences na will falsify, for example, the claim na we evolved. So, isang example doon, how you can falsify evolution is, ganito kasi yung yung parang prediction ng evolution na we progress daw from simple to complex. So, for example, we came from, sabi daw dun sa evolution, we came from water and then nag-progress tayo sa land. So, there's a transition, right? So, from fish, hindi dumiretso to two-legged na mammal or reptile. There's a transition. So, yun yung amphibian, for example, na can both live on water and on land. Siya yung in between. So, if we find daw a fossil of an amphibian that's older than the first fish na nag-exist, then mafo-falsify mo yung evolution theory ni Charles Darwin. That means hindi pala progressive ang evolution, it's random pala. Ang nangyari pala sa progress natin is may isda and then may land creatures and then it's a mixed bag, parang ganun, walang progression na from water to land, walang transition. So you can falsify, and all the other scientific theories, you are free, you can falsify them, parang ganun yung idea nila. And everything else na gusto mong that you are interested in but can't be falsified, hindi dumidistance yung science doon. They want to answer them, I'm sure. For example, the question whether there really is a God or not. Kaso, unfalsifiable siya na claim. So, science distance itself to those kinds of topics kasi wala talaga siyang maisasagot. And mahuhulog talaga yung usapan na belief na lang. It's not a statement of fact. It's just a belief. Not saying that that belief is wrong or you are incorrect. It's just saying na, hey, we can't do shit with that kind of statement. I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just gonna step away. The problem is you saying it's real and at the same time not providing any verifiable evidence. That's the problem. But if yung belief mo is belief lang, dyan, I really believe na may God out there, it's unfalsified, it's alam kong hindi ito scientific, parang ganun. If you express it that way, then okay. Pero if you really claim na dyan, you can prove it using science, then dun na yung pagkakamali mo. So another thing that I appreciated which anchored me is yung concept naman ng observable. If you claim something, it needs to, kailangan na o-observe natin yung claim mo. Yun, that's what I appreciated about me subscribing na to the scientific method. And that's the reason why medyo sad ako na bawal na akong maniwala sa mga bagay na gusto kong paniwalaan. Gusto kong maniwala na yun na nga, yung mga multiverse, gusto kong maniwala na totoo sila. Kaso, eto yung science na sasabi, hey, sorry dyan, may mga kasi siya may mga claims kasi siya na we can't ever falsify or we can't ever observe, so I'm sorry. Unless may other claim na pwede na nating ma-observe and it's falsifiable na, then I'd be interested. The science will be interested. So yun. Because ito yung parang advantage if you subscribe to that kind of thinking. Hindi ka na palutang-lutang sa clouds. If someone comes in and says something na, hey, I have heard this kind of idea na na very controversial. Okay, let me hear it. But then yung pa lang niya is, but you can't observe it because it's residing on a plane that science can't really reach. So yun, red flag na siya na, hey, sorry, I'm interested to listen, but you're talking about stuff na parang belief lang yung babagsakan, then sorry, hindi ako interesado. So yun yung parang nangyayari na for me when a new idea comes up or when a new conspiracy theory comes along, parang ganun. So yun, I hope that's helpful And I hope I'm making sense. Thank you and see you.